Hello and welcome to another week in my garden. Absolutely beautiful sunny day. Very hot down in the garden, but we've got a little bit of planting to do first this week. Nearly finished it now, so we'll show you what we've done and then I'll just pop a few more beans in to finish it. This is the frame for the beans and the peas. It's basically the frame that we had in the fruit cage last year, and it's been sort of altered a little for use down the garden. Obviously it's not in the fruit cage, so I've had to put a net over it. I had some net and it's not expensive net, it's cheap and cheerful, but it works. I've just used the uprights and put the cross pieces on, and then put the mesh to carry the crop in, and then I've overlapped it with a fine mesh. Now I have planted down the middle some Garden Wonder, which will only get to about 1.5 feet high, and they're early, so hopefully they'll be done and gone. This side I've planted the tall peas, the alderman. We had a good crop out of these this year. I've actually used both sides of the net because I had loads of plants come through. This side I'm putting the climbing French beans. This is Isabel. Now germination wasn't so good on this one, so we just got a single line. Now I've grown them in these books, root trainers if you like. Germination has been very poor, but they are down, so they may as well be in and get growing down here now. They're all right, they're decent plants. What I've actually done to get the spacing right, I've put a plant in each end, one in the middle, and then carried on putting one in the middle till I finish up with these gaps that are left, and then I put 2 in each, and then that makes the spacing even right down the line. So let's pop them in. It's very nice and damp underneath with that rain, so, but I will water them in anyway. I brought the can down. Just break the bottom a little bit, and then we just scoop them out of the root trainer, and in they go. And then with all beans and peas, as you put them in, try and get the soil up against them so that they hold them up, especially the peas. If the peas fall flat, they never seem to take off, but if you ridge the soil up along the sides of them and hold them up, it does help them get going. Trouble with heavy soils, if it dries out too fast, it'll be setting hard, so that's why I got on and got those planted yesterday. Just pop those in. Any compost that's left in, just bang it in, and then just, I always tend to push it up with my fingers rather than the trowel because it's a bit non-forgiving, and then just ridge them along. That's do nice. So one more just to finish off. Look, one more bulb. Again, this one's a little bit drier than that one. I did water them earlier. That's fine. I'll just pop these in. 3, 4, and take the compost in. And then I'll just push those up with my hand. It's drying out very fast now, as you can see. So it will need good water. And then just draw the trowel to ridge them a little bit. That's fine. They are labelled, and that is the French climbing bean, Isabel. It's a very nice tasting bean, but it's a nightmare to germinate. We'll just give them a drop of water and then we'll put the net down and we'll go and do some pumpkins and squashes. I should water them now and I should water them again this evening. There's only this end to do. There you go. Now we'll bring the net down and just pop it in. There's nothing too particular holding them in the ground, just these pegs, and they're readily available from the cheap shops. And just make your line straight if you can. Not always possible. Now, as you can see, the net is on the outside away from the plants. I put a bit of a gap between the top so it won't catch them until very late in the season, then it will grow into them. The top's covered, everything's covered, the ends are covered. That to hopefully keep the pigeons out. Now the only thing I'll do now is I'll keep watering them until they get well established, and then we'll put a good mulch when the ground's really wet. Hopefully we have one day of rain at some stage. After that I'll put a good mulch either side of the plants to keep the moisture down there, and hopefully we'll have a cracking crop of beans and peas this year. Let's go and have a look at some pumpkins and some squashes. Down on the squash frame, as we like to call it now, and I've just started planting the squashes. I've planted some down the outside of this one. There's 4 plants in there. 2 of them are just butternut squashes, so they will grow up well. The other one is munchkin, and I can't remember the other one, but it's labelled. And I'm just going to put this one in. This is Jack Be Little. There's actually 2 or 3 coming up in a pot. We had that many seeds, I had to set them. We had quite a few seeds, if you can remember, and I had no idea how old they were, so I decided to set the lot. So we're really going to maybe overplant this a little. So we'll get it planted up for you and then show you it finished. That's that side done. We'll plant the other side up and then we'll put the bigger pumpkins out on the beds, but we'll get finished first and then show you. Right, we've planted the frame up now, put quite a few on. There's I think it's about 8 just on the outside and a few on the inside, but that'll be fine. They'll go up nicely and hang over. Now I'm planting the pumpkins, which I'm going to grow in circles. I'm going to keep pegging them down to keep them going round and round, and I should put a stick in where the root is so I can give it some water if it does get drier. It's very, very good soil here, very deep, so they should like it. Been well manured very early in the year. Good plant. I think the main problem with putting them right down here could be a bit of a slug problem, but we'll keep an eye on that. There's just these few left now to plant. We're planting them here. I'll get this finished and then let you have a look at the finished product, and must water them in as well. Now what I've done, I finished planting the pumpkins at the side of the arch. These are the big pumpkins that we can't grow on the arch. I'm going to grow those into circles, and I've also put in some courgettes. I've only put 4 courgettes in, that'd be plenty for us. These are the pumpkins that we're going to grow in circles. I've been down and watered them this morning. As you can see, they will need loads of water until they get established. These are the 4 courgettes we planted. We'll fetch those as and when we need them as they become ready. Now every year when I do the tomatoes for the greenhouse, I always do far too many. Given some to my neighbours, and what's left I always plant in the garden, which I've done this year. Now the plants in the garden, depending on the summer we get, can actually do quite well, or they're a catastrophe. This year we're hoping for a good crop out of them. So I've planted them down here. All the different varieties are in there. They're all labelled up. The canes that they're on are not the actual supports for the tomatoes. They're just the planting supports. I shall put a stake at each end and probably one in the middle of each run with some wires, and then really get some thicker support posts for them, because these thin canes, they'll just bend over and snap. There's quite a lot of weight on your outdoor tomatoes, so we'll see how we go with those. Right, so I'm not going to do any work in this heat, although it's lovely to have the heat. So we'll just pop up and we'll have a look at the lettuce in the frame. These are the lettuce that we're growing in the frame. Now we have harvested some, 1, 2, 3, 4 I think we've had. They're absolutely delicious, and they're lovely and clean, as you can see. As soon as this is empty, we'll use this for the main crop carrots. As you can see over here, they're the next lettuce coming through to follow these, but they won't be in here though. They'll have to go down into one of the mesh tunnels. Now those lettuce are nice. We'll go up to the shed. We need to change the blade on the felco secateurs, and we need to do some work on the grapevine. There are some pruning to be done, so we need to get that done as soon as possible. Now one of my subscribers have asked me to show how I sharpen my secateurs. Well, I actually need a new blade, so I'll change the blade and show you how I sharpen it while I'm changing the blade. All your secateurs have got numbers on. This is number 2, this is number 7. We're going to be changing number 7. Now this is the blade that I've taken it out of the package. As you can see, it says 7 and 8, so this is number 7, so that's the correct blade for these secateurs. They're quite expensive secateurs, but they last for absolutely ever. Right, I'll just show you how we change the blade. So we need to release the secateurs first, take the spring off and put them down put them in order, and then you'll be able to see how they go back together. Then this is what holds the blade steady, so this doesn't loosen while you're moving backwards and forwards. So we need to loosen that first. There is a little tool that actually comes with the secateurs, but I don't know where mine is now. I've had them that long. So that's that done. Release that, and now we'll release the main. You see, there you go. And you just wheel that off. Put that there. Then the secateurs will come apart. Take the centre pin out, because that can go there. Then the blade will come off. There you are, it's the blade off. So that's the old blade. Now when I'm doing just normal sharpening, I take it to this stage and then I get the diamond and I rub it along there to make that nice and sharp. That side an angle and that side flat. Always do the back side flat. And that's so when I'm sharpening the blade, that's as far as I get. But this time we're going to change the blade, so we have to clean everything as we go. So put it back nice and clean. Clean this side as well. I don't put grease or anything on them. Keep that in the centre, that will actually move. Look, it's bolted on with this. There's no need to take that off. Right, so that's clean. Here's the blade. Quite sharp. So that should fit onto there. You see? It clicks on. Just clean that with my dirty fingers. Then this one will go on like that. So we pop the centre pin back in. And then pop that one on there. You'll see that it'll sit on and no movement. Then we take the crown wheel, as you might call it, and we'll pop that on. I don't know if you can see. Just pop that on next. He says. It's not so easy as I make it look. So if you just do it nearly finger tight, and then you've got to have a feel of it. You can feel that they're just touching nicely now, that is. So you move that locking crown round, loosen it a little bit, I think. He says. There you go. That locks into there, look. Now what we do now, we just keep, that's far too loose. It's just catching now, so I think a little bit more. That feels nice now, so what I shall do now, I shall lock that up. Just keep feeling it and make sure it doesn't get too tight. So that's locked, that's holding that in position. That's nice. And then the final job is to put the spring back in there. It's just a compression spring, gets a bit dirty, and that's perfect, beautiful. And then make sure your locker goes over. If your lock gets loose, every time you're using it, it'll keep locking on, so it's best to keep this one a little bit tight. And that's them. So they'll be good now for another 10 years. Now, having got my new blade in my secateurs, we've got a grapevine that's wants seeing to. So let's go over and have a look at the lower part so I can show you what I'm going to do. Right, as you can see, the grapevine is shooting all over the place. Can you see all these? If you just leave these, they'll just get longer and longer, and then they'll be dropping all over, and I'll lose the nice shape of my vine. The other thing is we're getting a lot of sap here. We're at the furthest extreme, we're not getting a lot, so I'm going to reduce these down, and then the sap will keep moving, else these will just get bigger. Unless you're going to retrain it somewhere, and then you use these to train next year's canes off them, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to reduce. As you can see, it's absolutely full of flower. Let's just get one down for you. Look, there's flowers there, flowers there. I'm going to cut off at this one. Look. Then if anything goes wrong, that'll be taken over from there. There are some fruits there, look, so let's take that off. It's nice to have a pair of good secateurs. So again, you see we've got 2, so we'll reduce it to 1, shall we? There you go. And I shall go right round the vine like this. And that leaves enough for next year's buds to form. I don't know if you can see this. If we take it here, next year's buds can form in these 2 back here, so we'll be fine. Okay, so I shall go around the whole of the vine doing that. Right, you can see that's where the fruit is going to be born on that one. So I just go in there and cut those off. And again, this one, look, just follow it down. There's the fruit, and just clip off. I should do that on the whole of the vine. As you can see when you look up, it really is growing now. Now the season's beginning to warm up. Right, so we'll pop up and have a look in the greenhouse, and then I'll come down and busy myself cutting all the bits off the grapevine. Remember, when you are trimming, is leave one, always leave one just in case. So go 1, 2, cut. Just before we nip up to the greenhouse, now one of my subscribers, allotment gardener, has got in touch with me and said that there was some rootstock by Sow Seed. He contacted me and told me that there was a company was selling tomato rootstock seeds. I contacted them and I bought 3 packets. Now I think what we'll do, we'll grow some this year, very late, but we'll grow some, and we'll grow some old-fashioned tomatoes, and we'll try 1 or 2 different grafts, because the approach graft we used I wasn't that happy with. Many thanks to the allotment gardener for sending me the link so I could get these seeds, and we will try them. So let's get ourselves up to that greenhouse before it gets too hot. Right, we're in the greenhouse. It's very hot in here, 38 degrees. Now, just showing you every week the progress of our impatient balls we did. As you can see, they're growing, and all the plants are now beginning to turn to the sun. Even the bottom ones are turning. Look. They're fine. We've done some of the baskets. As you can see, we're beginning to fill up now. We've still 1 or 2 hooks still to fill. Quite a job to get them all done and to keep them watered in here when it gets really hot. These are a few of the geraniums that we overwintered, if you can remember. We overwintered them in the shed. They're just waiting to go into the garden, into the pots and troughs, etc. now. They do look nice. Friday today, a very hot Friday, but it's bank holiday, so it will rain. Now, next week we shall have everything hopefully planted, so we'll do a garden update next week and let you know what we've done. We'll finish up planting in the greenhouse as well. The tomatoes and the peppers should be all set out nicely. We'll do that, have a walk round with you next week, show you what we've been up to, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some of Diane's hanging baskets. I won't be doing any work in the heat of the day, so I'm working evenings this week. So that'll be it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. In glorious sunshine. I've even noticed I've even put my hat on for you this week because my head was getting too hot. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.